So, good morning together. I will now present my monitor and my webcam that you can see me. Hello, good morning. My name is Thomas Ginger from Amann Gierbach Company. It's now 8 o'clock here in the Central European time. I hope you had a nice day. We will welcome now a lot of people here from Far East, from Korea, from Saudi Arabia, from Lebanon, and from Thailand, and from China. A lot of. So I please, Mr. Michael Fjolka, don't unmute your microphone. Keep it muted, please. This would be nice. Otherwise, we can hear you. So what we are talking now, the next minutes, the next 20 minutes is about our speed crown design. So the point where we want to have the target is the point which has this part here. This is that small cylinder. I will put it here in the screen. You see here, this is a fine thing made with a Zolid FX Multilayer blocks, and we will talk about even these blocks here. We have one of this, it's called the 71 shape, and we have here the 98 one. So you cannot see that this is a multi-layer block, but it is on layers with gradient from dark to bright, and we want to have now a build up of this crown in the next 20 minutes. So let's start with the database. And the database I just done yesterday was a single crown, a full anatomic crown. Let's have a look on that. It is a separate gingiva scan, yes, here. And I did a small trick. I didn't make a silicone gingiva mask. I made one. This was, I decided to do, but then when the scanner says, please put in the gingiva mask, I didn't take the gingiva mask in. I put the dye, the plaster dye in, and I didn't remove my parts around the margin. It was the plaster, and after clicking on next in the scanning program, there was another scan from the dye, and this material I did remove is now visible as the margin around the gingiva parts around the margin. So I call that the gingiva trick. If you are more interested in detail, you can call or send me an email, and then I will show you how that works. So let's see, have a look on the model now. The model I told you is a 1/6 single crown, and the gingiva part, you can see here how it looks. This is our gingiva design, and this was plaster before, and in the scanning program I only cut out here that part, and what was remaining here, this part, this is not silicone, this is plaster. First step is to click on our margin line. This is business as usual. Then have a small control, turn the die all around, and look that it's looking nice with the preparation line. That's perfect. Then clicking on next, and we are coming to the insertion direction, and this insertion direction, sometimes I'm fading here, I'm checking here with a complete jaw here, and I'm moving the model to the best position. I'm checking that I have no undercuts here in my crown, and if it's right, then I click here on set current view as an insertion axis. Then click on next. That's, I think, quite normal for you. Then let's have here a closer look here on our cement gap. The software update brought a brush tool here with the cement gap. We see here in green color, this is the area which is fitting down between the crown and the die, and the yellow part here, this is the cement gap. At the moment, this cement gap is yellow at 0.05, and when you have sharp edges in your die and you want to protect the sharp edges and you want to avoid some disturbing points on it, then it could be nice to use this tool here. It's called Add Another Zone, and this is pre-default adjusted to 0.08 millimeters. I will increase it a little more up to 0.1. Pick the brush tool, go on the crown. If you press your shift key, you can rotate the mouse wheel and adjust the size of that tool. I make it really small, and then I go along here the edges which are sharp, for example, and then when you look very close here, what happens? Then you see that at that point I put the brush tool on it, the cement gap gets a little bigger, and this would avoid disturbing points. So if you want, you can use that all around the edges if it's necessary. and if you want to delete the painted parts, you press the shift key, and then it's like a rubber tool, and you can wipe away the parts you have just painted. Other things, I don't want to talk about the additional spacings, but you see that we can control the fitting of the crown with the axial or radial values, especially when you want to have it bigger. Then I de-lock here that lock, and then I make it from the horizontal way the crown a little bigger. Standard values are, everything here is on 0, so we don't go closer to that. Click on next, and then we're coming to a nice thing. It's called the copy or mirroring tool. What happens here? If you want to make a copy, for example, the 1/7 you want to have on 1/6, then you click on 1/7, the tooth, and immediately you get a tooth here, and you can place it here nearby. This is the first possibility. If you click on mirror, you could go on the other side, and you say, okay, I want to mirror the tooth from the other side. This means here, go on copy or mirror, you select here what you want to have, and then you can click on the tooth on the side you want to have, and immediately you get the tooth here. For example, here now the mirrored one from 2/6 to 1/6, and you see here it's appearing immediately here in our group as a pre-op scan, and you can immediately adjust the size here of that mirrored tooth. You can even stretch it. This is the control and shift key, and you can rotate it with the control key. Only for a possibility, but I don't want to do that, so I jump back one step and I jump to next, that I jump over that step here with copy or mirroring. I only wanted to show you how it works. If you click continuing, then as you see the both adjacent teeth, they are getting colored. So this means the software now is able to calculate the place for the library tooth more precise. And I'm not so satisfied with that tooth shape, so I go here on the library and I select the standard form, the mind form. If I click here and go here with the control or shift key, I can arrange the size of the tooth, make it a little smaller, stretch it, get some approximate intersections. That's okay. Then let's show the intersections to the antagonist. My favorite is if I click on the next step and I want to adjust the height here of my tooth, only the height from the vertical way, then I'm clicking here, please only move the tooth in a occlusion direction. So now I can only move in occlusion way. So even if I look from top, I can lift up the tooth or lift it down more to basal, even if I look from top. If I want to move free, I go back to free, and then I can rotate with the control key and with the shift key. Last look from frontal, so that I see which is the right tilting, the axis of the tooth, and if that's okay, so I continue with the next step. And this means now calculating down the tooth to the margin line. My favorite here is tooth parts. Go closer and adjust my approximal intersections. Then I'm looking from each side here. If some of the cusps are too high, I freeze the movement here to occlusal only, go back a little. Otherwise, when the color is around yellow or orange or pink, the penetration, the intersection will be so strong, and in cutting here, when you adapt to occlusal and cut the intersections, you will get big abrasion parts. I don't want to have that, so I'm lifting down my parts here by hand with the anatomic tooth part and occlusal only to bring it a little more down to basal and have less intersection. Let's have a look at the approximate intersections here. Let's see here. You can colorize here the intersections. If you drop down the menu in the coloring table here and you click here the checkbox for adjacents, then you even could watch here the color for the adjacent approximal parts. And if I adapt now with the approximal and cut the intersection, you see now it's cut away. Let's look on the other side. It's the same, and I cut now the occlusal way. By the way, we are now at the moment working with a mush bite. There was one question in before how to scan a mush bite. It's really easy. If you have the patient's card here and you are in the database and you select here your antagonist and you select here one stone model only, then the scanner advises you now put in the mush bite, and when you continue then put in the rest of the model. So it's very easy, and this mush bite here is only now possible for the occlusion type to cut with a static cut. You see here the dynamic symbol here is deactivated. This only would be active if you have chosen here in the database the RTEX CR with 2 models, and then you get the scanning process a little different, and then you would be able now here to cut in a dynamic way. This is really recommended to do, of course, when we are doing anatomic, full anatomic monolithic crowns. We don't want to grind after the finishing, and therefore it should be a most precise way here in the occlusal cut, and this is the most precise with a dynamic cut. So that's the cut and the construction. I click on next, and in this last step here the crown is finished. You see the finished result here. Let's have a last look on it. If it's necessary, you could freeform the restoration, you know that. And the next step now would be here, proceed to production. We want now to pass over to the block here. And I've just prepared the block, so click on proceed to production, click on next, and now I'm going to the match software, to the nesting module here. Let's do that again. Of course, if I shift it here from one monitor to the other, then the visualization is a little poor. So I open the match now to go in our multi-layer block, and this multi-layer block is here just selected from the library. If you see here, the library here, I want to open is that button here, and here I can say, okay, show me all the materials, and here I could even filter and say, okay, only show me the Zolid FX Multilayer. I just decided here that is 2 blocks, and this new crown now I made, I want to put here in this 98 block, so I double click the block and it comes here in the center of my screen. The library is closed, and here this is my new crown. And now let's have a look here from a side of the block. When you push here these buttons from the perspective here, you can see now we are looking from the back side here, and we have the 3 crowns. And now see the 3 crowns are in a different height. Let's delete this one, then you can see it better. The different heights now, we look very close, give me a difference of color. This block, this multi-layer block, has a gradient color from dark to bright, from bottom to top. And if I'm unlocking here the inclination, I can grab the crown and can drag it down to the bottom. This is more A3, for example. And if I go in the middle, this is more A2.5. And if I go on top, this is more A2. So it depends now on our position of the crown, if the crown gets more bright or gets more dark. And here now I have a nice sample of Hans Peter. I will show that picture again here also on the screen and in the live video transmission. I hope that I can adjust now my focus here. Yesterday it was a little problem, so you see here I'm deactivating now the focus here. And this is a cylinder made with a multi-layer block, and we can see that the crowns are situated in different heights, and the lowest one is the darkest and the highest one is the brightest one. For example, here in our picture here I can show you this one. The darkest one is on bottom, then we have the medium one here on the second place. This is first, this is dark, this is the second one, then here we have the third one. This is the highest position, and this keeps more bright. So, and that was in short words our speed crown with placing in the multi-layer block. Yesterday we had a question. I want to put that question immediately here. One of the customers asked me, how do you prepare the surface of the material before you go in the furnace to sinter? And here I've prepared a picture for it. We have some silicones for preparing. You see here we have a set of silicones on the right side on the edge here. This set here is prepared for making the surface in the soft condition, in the white condition of the block before sintering. and on the right side you see this is after the sintering. I want to show you one of that silicones. And this one you see also on the picture, this is the one here we are using for preparing the surface. Finally, when we have completely finished everything with sintering and the crown comes out of the furnace, it will look like this one. I have just prepared here a case, I will show you. This is like a satin surface here. So let's look very close. See, that's no glossy surface. It's at the moment it's a little like a satin surface, and after glazing it, only glazing, and it will look like this here. This is now a glazed surface here. I hope you can see it a little. The light condition here. Yeah, now you can see it a little. And for making that, this glazing process, we need some staining glaze materials, and for that set here you can use, for example, this part here. It's called the Ceramill staining glaze things. Let's look inside what's in here. We have a lot of colors here. You see here on the side here the different colors from blue to brown and so on. So let's have a ball pen to show it here. And here we have a big bottle. This is for making the liquids here, mixing that it's going smooth with a brush on it. And here we have a small bottle to reactivate here that parts here if they are too dry. And we have for the staining glaze a neutral cream here, a paste, which is only used for a final finishing coating here on the crowns. That means we don't paint the crowns before sintering, we do that after sintering, and the final result just shown here is our cylinder here with the different heights and the colors, and that's only with the glazing neutral material that you see here on the picture. Now this is the time for having questions. We also have Hans-Peter Kolawi with us, with the organizers, so if you now enter your questions we can answer it immediately. And I can see Hans-Peter has just answered one. It was the if it's possible to have separate in two different trays, do not put zirconia. Yes, Hans-Peter told you if you sinter the material, then you always should separate the solid materials from the classical materials. They should not be mixed in one tray. Of course, we don't want to pollute the tray beads here with different materials. So Eli has questions now about the temperature of the glazing. Temperature of glazing, Eli, is within the package here. I think we can open Hans-Peter's microphone. Hans-Peter, the temperature, I think it's all around 850 degrees. Is that true?
Hello, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Hans-Peter?
Yes, I can hear you. Yet 850 degrees is the recommended temperature.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Hans-Peter. And there was another question. Is only one crown show you? I cannot understand the questions, but I have only one crown, but I have more. I have even here a small bridge here for having that. I hope I can now focus it a little. Give me a second. So this is another one here. From the light condition here, it's a little difficult to show it with the webcam. The webcam has not the highest solution here to show it, but I hope that you can see it here. Okay. I hope that was the question, Mr. Murat. Or was it a different question? You can type it in if you want. Okay, thank you. More questions? We will wait a second, and during your typing in your questions, I just showed you at the beginning of our session that we are recording that session, and if you are interested, then we can send you the download link that you can look the session again. Okay, blank model FX after glaze, we do manual polishing. Okay, good. So I see there is some answer here even from Eli. Thank you, Eli, to your answer here. And the manual polishing after the glazing, we have for explanation, we have two different possibilities to go with the surface. After the milling, in that stadium of the block, when you have the block the white condition and the machine drops out this crown, the white one, before sintering, you go with your silicones here. I have here some, the silicones. You go on the surface with its material. And after finishing that, you go in the furnace, and if you want to have a high glossy surface before, we have another silicone. This was just shown on the set here. You see the difference. The first is the rough one, this one, and this is the very fine one. With that one, you could even make a high luster glossy surface on the white blocks here. So we use that on the white blocks to make a surface. You see here the edge of the block here, this is nice surface, and with that silicone it looks nearly the same surface quality. And now when you go in the furnace and you drop out the crown from sintering, after sintering, if you have used this one with a shiny surface, it's not so easy to put the staining glaze colors on it. Of course, it's like slippery. The ground is a little slippery. Therefore, we recommend to have more this one, the rough one, silicone. Then you can use a first glazing process with the colors. I've shown you the pot here with the colors. Colors means here on that side, that part here, the colors. And after that, you're making a final glazing process with a neutral one, with this one. And this one coats the complete crown and makes that shiny surface. And this shiny surface is more good than a mechanically polished surface. Hans-Peter, more details for the preparing. Some words from you.
Preparing the surface in the white stadium is very easy because the material itself it's very stable, so you can grind some roughness if you want to apply, for example, to the neighbor tools, a very exact surface. You can grind with typical grinders, carbide, cross carbide grinders. Do it manually, and after sintering, do not apply too much glaze on it, otherwise the whole surface will be very glossy, and we want to keep the structure. So my way is to apply only a thin layer of the glaze material later on with the staining glaze set.
Okay, thank you. And now there was another question here. Can you do another video of designing or after the crown comes out of from milling the machine, finishing, polishing? So I have prepared a video. I will now try to show you that video. And on the left side you can see we are using burrs to use for the preparing of the surface, and these burrs are very fine shaped. So this means we don't use so big tools, we use small tools, and in the next picture you see here our silicones, and this smoothens the surface. This is polishing with the silicone, and for final details in the fissures and so on, we use very small burrs for individualizing and making the texture. This video was made with Knut Miller. You know Knut Miller is the man who has designed the Knut Miller library teeth. After that process you can clean it, and then you go in the furnace for making the finishing with the sintering process. I hope this helped you a little here. So I hope you enjoyed our session. More questions? We do this both zircon and solid. Yes, you can do that on both here. That's true. There was another question from Mr. Shehab. Yes, you can do it. And this is possible for every material here. Okay, more questions? Type it in the chat box. Otherwise, we slowly will close our session, and we hope that you have fun and you will be with us the next time when we are caring about other subjects. Now I think the next big target is the IDS, the International Exhibition in Cologne, and maybe we will meet at the booth on Amann Gierbach. Yesterday there was a release of another Facebook video from the engine model. So if you are interested, look on Facebook, look on Instagram or on Twitter, and you will find a lot of nice videos here from the engine model. Maybe this will be one of our next subjects. Okay, so thank you for watching. I think questions are so far answered, and thank you also for Hans-Peter to be with us. So have a nice day, have a nice evening for you, and see you next time. Bye-bye, Thomas Ginger, Aman Gierbach. Thank you very much for being a part with our session. Thank you, and bye-bye.